Can you make out that old Soviet art behind that screen of that old building and what it actually says? Hello again and welcome to Expat American. I am the Expat American and today I'm going to do another experiment. I'm going to walk down this long street behind me, this historic street in Moscow, and see what I see. About a month ago, I wore the entire dark blue metro line in Moscow City, looking for scary places, scary people, dirty things, wondering what I might find. And today I'm going to do a similar experiment, but a little bit different because I will be on foot walking down this street. And what I want you to think about is if you were to walk down the entire historic street in your city at dusk on Friday, how would it look? How might things go for you? So I'm going to show everything on this journey. This is what is outside the street before you head in. I just got the metro over there, and this right here is the street that we'll be marching on down. All right, so this is the first stop on the street, the very first restaurant. See that barrel right there? That is for a pub. That says pub. So we're already off to a good start. I'm liking this place already. However, it's too early for a beer. The name of this street is Pyatnitskaya Street, which means Friday. The word for Friday in Russian is Pyatnitsa. It used to be called Bolshaya, which means big, big street. And because I want to be excellent in everything that I do, I made sure that I'm doing this video on Friday, on Pyatnitsa, on Pyatnitskaya Street. So I'm halfway down the first block. We got a building under construction. There's a canvas over it, some shops. That's where we came in. The building with the lights on it is a restaurant. And we have looks like an office building here. It says bank. And we're gonna keep on going. This street is a little bit more than a mile long. And it is not as cold as it normally is, so I might not have to wear my hat as much today. But it has been raining a lot. It's wet everywhere. There's ice everywhere. I keep slipping. I haven't fallen yet. But perhaps that's why I have no crew members with me today. It's just very cold and slippery and humid and yucky today. I'm halfway down the next block. There's a pile of snow they've pushed up against that tree. Always tossing snow everywhere you can so you can walk around and drive around. It's a nice looking older building there. Looks like a little park covered in snow. More buildings, obviously. And look at this right here. We have a line of what appears to be Christmas trees. They would not call them Christmas trees here. They would call them New Year's trees. You would say New Year in Russian, S Novim Godom. And looks like we have some more. These ones are red and in the window. Pretty cool. We are on the Friday before American or British or German Christmas. Christmas, New Year's holiday, it's not the focus of this video, but we will probably see some holiday stuff, and as the sun sets, hopefully we'll get to see some lights. That was the sound of me dropping my umbrella in a puddle. Everything, like I said, is wet, and that's ice on the ground. You want to make sure you don't slip in it, so there's a mixture of snow and ice and puddles everywhere. There's a cool little tunnel there. I know for locals it doesn't look like much. For Americans, we're in such a newer country, it's kind of cool to see. So it's a little more than a mile, like I said. Some of you might think that's a long time. Some of you might think that's not long at all. I mean, for this country, this city, this time of year, it's kind of not an ideal amount of time to be outside. So I'm going to try and break it up into thirds, and after about a third, I want to hopefully find a nice place to have a coffee. And after the next third, hopefully I'll find a place to have some tea. And then at the end, I'll have to think of something else to drink to celebrate if I survive this journey. So there's a snowman next to some Christmas trees, doing another 360-degree turnaround. That's where we came from. And looks like over here we have a little European-looking, classy-looking side street. And then we're gonna keep on going. So as you can see, I'm walking on a bike lane here that they have put, it looks like, all down the street. I was talking to my new friend Pavel from a couple of videos ago, the guy who has the YouTube channel on outdoor vehicles. And he said these bike lanes are relatively new to the city. It's something they're trying to do to improve things. One of the hang-ups, though, he says, is there's no path going from people's houses to this bike path. So you would have to, at this point, somehow figure out how to get yourself and your bike over to this street to take a ride. See there, another little square area where they're dumping the snow. I mentioned in another video that the snow will pile up for months. It will, however, they're constantly removing it. They're constantly coming by with trucks and hauling piles of snow out of here. So we got more buildings and more shops. That looks like people can shop all over the place here. So the reason why I got the idea to do this video is some of my critics were saying the long metro video I did was no good because I was in the metro the whole time. It doesn't really show what Moscow's really like. And so then I thought, well, how about I do a video where I'm not in the metro and I'm just walking through a part of Moscow, just showing the whole thing to get an idea of what it's like, better than being inside the metro, or differently from being inside the metro. Here's our next 360-degree turn. It's a nice little floral entrance to that building. Down the street, we got an Asian restaurant. That's where we were. I like these trees. Definitely look like a nice holiday postcard. And that's where we're going still. And then here is a big church. So maybe someone can say in the comments, throw my umbrella in the ground, in the puddle again. So maybe someone can say in the comments if they know. I'm getting conflicting reports when I research history as far as how old it is, 15th century or 16th century. I'm looking on the map, and it looks like I'm way past the third. I'm close to halfway there, if not halfway there. I'm getting around it. It looks like a tour group right here. So I may not end up making 3 stops, may just be 2 stops. Here's another restaurant. It says in English, drinks and dinners. Got some holiday lights, it looks like. The street is continuing. Some more very nice old-looking buildings, painted different colors. Reminds me a little bit like St. Petersburg, which is Russia's French-looking city, I would say, or European-looking city. That's okay if I don't make 3 stops, because I'm not a big fan of tea anyway. I mean, I drink it regularly because it is good for you, and you should. But it's just not something that I ever look forward to drinking, like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to have some hot tea. So I guess I'm not truly Russian or European in that sense. I've spent too much of my life in America. But if you're not sick of hearing about me yet, I know I've done some podcasts that I mentioned on this show, but I just did my first YouTube podcast. The interviewer's name is Stan in English, Stas in Russian, and I'll put his information on the screen. And we did a two-part interview. The first part is Russian dubbed, but he pinned a comment at the top. If you want to click the link in the comment, that'll give you the interview without the Russian dubbing. And then the second part doesn't have Russian dubbing, but it does have the option to choose Russian subtitles. There's a nice holiday entrance there to an alley that I assume has some shops in it. This is where we came from. And Stan likes to interview people in Russian who have moved to Russia and talk to them about why and what they like about Russia. So it's a great program to check out. And here's where we're going to be going next. I was reading about this place, and this is actually, this street, Pyatnitskaya, is a protected street, so it's part of old historic Moscow. So the idea is Moscow has laws and rules in place so that people can't really mess with this street. Like you couldn't put a bunch of McDonald's and Pizza Huts signs all over the place, for example. Not that they would do that anyway, but all the buildings have to be kept as they have been for decades or centuries or however long they've been the way they've been. There's more snow under the trees where people don't really have to walk. And it looks like they've got the holiday lights set up, so that should look pretty as the sun goes down. There's a brick building behind me, which doesn't have the stucco on it. Usually they have stucco and decoration on them, but that one was all brick painted. That's where we're headed. I just had a babushka, a grandma, ask me for directions in Russian. I had to explain to her, "Izvini, я плохо понимаю по-русски." And she waved her hand at me in disgust and walked off. So there's one person that doesn't realize at first glance I'm an English speaker. So does that mean I'm starting to blend in? Anyway, it looks like there's a little church behind me there. Well, I was wrong. It is not a little church. When I came around the corner, it is a giant red church. And next to the church, a giant pile of snow. And on the other side of this giant pile of snow, looks like Charles Dickens' Christmas over here on this little side street where there's a lot of people. Maybe this is where I'll get some coffee. And here's Moo Moo. I've eaten here before. That is tempting, but it's not time to eat yet. Popular Russian, well, let me say again, successful Russian cafe restaurant. Alrighty, just when I was about to give up, I found a heavy door. The Coffix restaurant, cafe. It's not a restaurant, it just sells coffee and pastries that Josiah and I went to in the fast food video. So here is my cappuccino, ready to continue on my way with a warm drink in my hand. So this big red church is actually right next to me because that's where this side street of shops is. I'm actually tempted to go in there, but I don't really have time for this video. And there's Chocolatnitsa, which is where I've been to before in other videos. It's like the Panera of Russia. So what I didn't figure is now I have an umbrella and a falling selfie stick and a cappuccino, and I only have 2 hands, not 3. So I'll be drinking carefully on this trip, and I guess it's getting a little bit windy. It's supposed to rain in about an hour. We're going to head down the street that way and finish up. We have about a third of our journey left to go, a little bit more than a third. So there is a currency exchange, the sign that keeps changing its digital display, so you can change out your money if you have different forms of currency. This looks like a toy store of some kind. So far I haven't seen any scary places or scary people. You know, mud puddles, would that count as dirty things? I guess so, but nothing really crazy dirty. So behind me there is a metro station, an old style metro station, and a Christmas tree, or rather a New Year's tree as they would call it here. And speaking of the holidays again, I'm actually going to a holiday party tonight in the city of Moscow in the center with my lovely wife Svetlana. She will be meeting me at a metro station and I'll be escorting her to our fancy party with champagne and whatnot. Hopefully I'll be dressed nice enough for it. So in Russia, just like in America and Europe, they have holiday parties in December here as well. That says Korchma. That is an ancient Russia-style restaurant. Again, tempting place for me to want to go eat. I ate at a place like that in Yaroslavl with my little kids and my wife. And there's some more old-style, European-style buildings on the street. And there we will continue. So you can see on top of that building there are teams of men in orange suits clearing the snow off that building. Like I said before in other videos, Moscow has teams of guys going around clearing the streets, cleaning the streets all the time. And there's one of the Moscow city buses. I don't know if that's one of their electric buses or not, but they have a lot of electric buses in this city. There we will continue on down the street. There's a bell tower, and we got another Coffix. That is a shawarma with the garnet awning. Little grocery store with the green and white lit sign. I was actually looking for some of that famous Russian gingerbread that I've eaten many times, like in the video with the card games and board games that Russians play and other places. It actually gets made in a town called Tula, and this road originally was the road to Tula. And so it was a trading road, so lots of trading was happening here. And then lots of shops popped up, and then it became a place where elites were moving in and living. And so then there was a bunch of restaurants, and to this day, apparently this has a large amount of restaurants. It's very dense with restaurants compared to other streets in Moscow. The name of that restaurant there, it says in English, Masters and Margaritas. That's based off a famous novel. If you're unfamiliar with it, you should look it up. Got another building under construction there with a canvas on it. We're underneath the bell tower here. And got a little restaurant bar, more shops, more people, more cars, and we're actually coming to the end. And yes, I was correct. This is the end right here. So I'm standing at the end. I just walked over. Won't be the end of the video though, because I haven't eaten anything yet. I'm going to go a little bit further down because it looks like, although technically this is the end of the name of Pyatnitskaya Street, the street still continues with the same setup of shops and beautiful buildings. And we got a little river here we'll check out. So this is a little canal that runs alongside Moskva River. I won't try and pronounce the name. I'll just type it on the screen. You can see it's starting to freeze over, not completely though. You got some open water there, and then this is ice that's strong enough for ducks to walk on. I won't test it out for myself though. Check out the other side behind me. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's a nice little pedestrian arching bridge over the icing canal, not river, canal. So I've survived another video in Moscow. No bears or bad guys got me this time or have gotten me yet. And again, ask yourself, how does Pyatnitskaya Street, Moscow's historic street, compare to the historic downtown street in your city? Oh, what's that? So I'm inside an eatery that my friend from church recommended I go to. And in honor of my wife, who is 7% Greek, I'll be eating Greek food. So the beer here is 420 rubles. The shashlik is 490 rubles. And I have a romantic, beautiful, lonely spot looking out the window at the, well, I guess it's not Pyatnitskaya Street, but at the street that gets to sit next to Pyatnitskaya Street, apparently just off of Red Square. Since the sun is setting now on Pyatnitskaya Street, I decided to run back a little bit carefully on the icy sidewalks and film a little bit of the street again, this time with the Christmas lights on. Definitely looks more magical, I would say. I apologize, I mean New Year's lights, holiday lights. Christmas in Russia is a smaller religious holiday, technically, in January, because they follow a different calendar. They do have all the traditions of our Christmas, the American, British, European, German Christmas, but just attached to what they call the New Year's holiday. More Christmas lights, holiday lights popping on as the sun goes down. I know I'm supposed to have ended the video by now, but I can't help but look at Moskva River next to me. It is not frozen yet because I guess it's a much bigger river. And if you look carefully, that is St. Basil's peeking up out from behind the holiday lights. That is Zaryade Park across the river that we've been to many times. And the river goes on. There's some more decorative, creative holiday lights. And of course, more buildings, more cars, more people, and just beautiful. So how does the underneath of this big city bridge compare to the underneath of big city bridges in your city? Okay, so here we go. I think we've come to the end. You can see the red walls of Red Square behind me. You can see the Kremlin tower there with the red star on top of it. You can see St. Basil's, Moskva River, the bridge stretching out over it. So, what do you think of the historic Moscow street? How does it compare to historic streets in your downtown neighborhood? What'd you think? Click like, click subscribe, ring the bell notification, and click the box to see what happens next. Because I'm so tall, I was leaning up against this wall that's pretty short for me, standing on snow and ice, talking to you, saying goodbye, thinking, please don't slip and fall in the river. Please don't slip and fall in the river.